What's up, guys? So I figured I would make an analytic video based off of the NBA playoffs, and last night's game was the Brooklyn Nets versus the Milwaukee Bucks in Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Game 5 series was tied 2-2, and the first two games was dominated by Brooklyn. I mean, they beat Milwaukee by over 40 points in Game 2, but in Game 3 something major happened, and the Brooklyn Nets only scored 83 points with Kyrie and Kevin Durant, and James Harden did not play because 43 seconds into the first game, he was injured, and he would return in Game 5, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the Nets scored a season-low 83 points, and Milwaukee was able to pull away with an 86-83 victory in Milwaukee to give them some form of momentum, but I didn't think that would be enough. The Nets just aren't going to score 83 points again. They're going to score way more. Except Game 4 is where Kyrie Irving, the point guard for the Nets, had a major ankle sprain and was injured, and he did not play in Game 5. So this caused Milwaukee to win their second game in a row at home and make the series tie 2-2. But today, for the Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant had one of the best games, if not the best game of his career. He played all 48 minutes and had 49 points, 10 assists, 17 rebounds, and 2 blocks, one of the best playoff performances in history. And role players such as Blake Griffin had 17 points. He had no assists, but he had 3 rebounds in 29 minutes. Joe Harris was hitting some threes, and Jeff Green, coming off the bench, at 27 points in 35 minutes, 3 assists and a rebound and a block. So overall, I'm very impressed with this Brooklyn team. James Harden did play today, except he only scored 5 points because he's just a shell of his former self with his injury. I think he came back a little bit too early, but it was an amazing performance by Brooklyn, and Kevin Durant just went off, and he proved why, in my opinion, he's the greatest player in the world at the moment. Not all time. The GOAT is Michael Jordan, but the best player in the NBA right now, I believe, is Kevin Durant. So the Brooklyn Nets take a 3-2 series lead as they travel to Milwaukee for a Game 6. And Milwaukee did challenge Brooklyn. They were winning for the majority of this game, so they could get Game 6 at home and force a Game 7 in Brooklyn, but we'll have to see then. And what I was really impressed with, Milwaukee Giannis, he shot at an amazing percentage. He shot some of the most accurate shots that he has shot the entire year. And Kevin Durant, he also amazed me. He's really the story of this game. On ESPN, Stephen A. Smith said he would drop 50, and the Milwaukee Bucks would win a Game 6 and force a Game 7, and that might just be what happens. But we'll have to see. But Kevin Durant, coming up clutch when you need him to, just proving why he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. That was a clean shot by Kevin Durant, and he just played amazing. And I'm excited for this series. This is by far my favorite series of the playoffs. We have 2 other great series, tied 2-2, and the 76ers versus the Hawks, and the Jazz and the Clippers, which is what we're getting into right now. So just like the first round in the Western Conference playoffs, the Los Angeles Clippers found themselves down 2-0, except in this series, the Clippers did not lose the first 2 games at home. They lost them in Utah, and they were able to take Game 3 at home. And in Game 4, they did not fail to impress. Kawhi Leonard dropping an amazing stat line, as you see him hit a 3 right here. He had multiple blocks, a ton of assists, and 7 rebounds, just proving why he's one of the best players in the NBA. He's not the best like Kevin Durant, but he's one of the best. He made the first team All-NBA, which I think is highly deserved. And just like last series, they tied up 2-2, and Donovan Mitchell was injured at the end of Game 3, and in my opinion, that affected his performance last night in Game 4, because he just looked like a shell of what he usually is, and he'll get back to normal. It's not like a career-ending injury. It's not anything threatening, but temporarily it's going to slow him down. So role players who step up a lot, like Bojanovic and Jordan Clarkson and Joe Ingles, are going to have to step up even more than they already do. I mean, Jordan Clarkson's the 6th man of the year. But tonight is Game 5 in Utah. Whoever takes the game will be up 3-2 and will be in command for the series, and they would just have to win 1 game out of 2, which I feel like is very effective. Usually the team that is on the winning side has the 3 wins in a series. It's 3-2. Usually they end up winning, especially since if you're in the Jazz case, if they win this game, they'd have a Game 7 at home. Except if Los Angeles can steal a game in Utah, then they'll have a Game 6 up 3-2 at home with a chance to go to the Western Conference Finals on the line. And I really feel like this is a different Clippers team than last year, except at the end of the game, Kawhi Leonard got injured, and it wasn't anything major. He still finished the rest of the game, except he is out for Game 5, so that will more or less definitely affect the results of the game, whether the Clippers can win it or not. Paul George is going to have to carry the load. You're going to have to see players like Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson step up if they want to win Game 5 and upset the Jazz, because in my opinion, the Jazz have the advantage in Game 5. I mean, they're at home and they're not playing against Kawhi Leonard. But that's a huge loss for the Clippers, and if they lose in the second round, in my opinion, that will be the reason why. And as we get into the next game, the Atlanta Hawks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Both teams are 1-1 on the road and 1-1 at home, which would make it a 2-2 series. And Atlanta ended up winning this game at home. They won by 2 points. And Trae Young, he never fails to impress. Joel Embiid, he got injured towards the end of the series against the Washington Wizards in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoff. But luckily, it was nothing major, and he came back, and he's still performing like he's a top 3 center in the league, which he is. I mean, if Nikola Jokic didn't exist, he'd be the best center, in my opinion. But yeah, it's 2-2, and Atlanta is heading to Philadelphia for a Game 5. Whoever wins will be up 3-2. Ben Simmons has been playing some good defense, especially in Game 3. You like to see Ben Simmons getting aggressive. And overall, I think this is going to be a 7-game series. I feel like whoever wins tonight will lose Game 6, and then there will be a Game 7 in Philadelphia. But that's just my opinion. Of course, that's not the analytics of the game. It's just my personal opinion. And I love the play of Thibault, I believe his name is. His last name is Thibault, and Seth Curry as well. They're more of a role players, but they still have played great basketball this postseason for the 76ers. And I'm excited to see this game tonight. Should have a good set of games. I mean, all the series were tied 2-2 until last night when Brooklyn won Game 3. And yes, this was just stunning. The fact that Atlanta was able to really hold off the 76ers the majority of the game. They got down early, except then it was just a back-and-forth battle. There was one final shot at the end of the game, except it was missed. Obviously, it was a 3-pointer. If it was made, the 76ers would have won by 1, and it would probably be one of the best shots in playoff history. But yes, the Hawks have been playing very well in the playoffs. I did not expect for them to... I expected for them to beat the Knicks, except not in 5. I think more of a 6-game series. But Trae Young, he might as well own the city of New York because he is their father. And everyone on Twitter is going to be going nuts if Atlanta wins this game just because Philadelphia is the number 1 seed. But yeah, that's my NBA analytics for today. I'll have one out tomorrow, and I can't wait to watch these games. Bye, guys.